My girlfriend texted traffic is crazy downtown. Don't be mad, and stood me up at our anniversary dinner. What I discovered later will make you never trust anyone again. I am Sterling, 31, marketing manager in NYC. Last week was supposed to be one of the most important nights of my life. Instead, it became the most humiliating and eye-opening experience I have ever had. I am still processing what happened, and I need to share this because the weight of betrayal feels unbearable when you carry it alone. Peyton and I have been together for 2.5 years. She is 28, works as a real estate agent, and I genuinely believed she was my future. We have talked about marriage countless times, planned weekend trips to look at apartments we might rent together, even discussed baby names during lazy Sunday mornings. I had been planning our anniversary celebration for months because I wanted it to represent everything we were building together. I was going to propose. I made reservations at Le Bernardin, which, if you do not know, costs $400 per person and requires booking months in advance. I had to call in favors from a major client just to secure a table. I bought a new suit that made me feel confident, spent weeks researching the perfect engagement ring, and practiced my proposal speech until I could recite it in my sleep. The reservation was for 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening. I arrived early, nervous energy making my hands shake slightly as I checked my reflection in the restaurant's windows. The ring box felt significant in my jacket pocket, not heavy, but present in a way that reminded me this night would change everything. 7 o'clock came and went. No Peyton. At 7:15, my phone buzzed. Running late, baby. Order appetizers. Traffic is crazy downtown. Don't be mad. I believed her completely. New York traffic is unpredictable, especially during rush hour on a Thursday. I ordered champagne, imagining her walking through the door with that apologetic smile that always made forgiveness easy. 7:30, 8 o'clock. Another message. Traffic is insane. 30 more minutes, I promise. So sorry, Sterling. Other couples began settling into their evening routines around me. The waiter, Miguel, kept approaching with increasing concern in his eyes. He was professional about it, but I could see him exchanging glances with his colleagues. I felt the familiar burn of embarrassment creeping up my neck but told myself this was just bad luck with timing. 8:30 brought what would be her final communication. Phone dying, almost there. Do not be mad. That was the last I heard from her. By 9 o'clock, her phone went straight to voicemail. I called repeatedly, my concern shifting from mild annoyance to genuine worry. What if something had happened? What if she was hurt somewhere? Unable to reach me, the restaurant manager approached my table with practiced diplomacy, explaining their policy about holding reservations while other couples waited. I faced an impossible choice. Leave and lose the most expensive dinner reservation I had ever made, or stay and endure the public humiliation of eating alone while surrounded by celebrating couples. I chose to stay. Miguel looked at me with such genuine sympathy when I ordered the full tasting menu that I nearly broke down right there. Every course arrived like a marker of my solitude. Every glance from neighboring tables felt like pity. The proposal speech I had memorized felt like acid in my throat. I sat there for nearly 3 hours total because I hope she will come. The couple at the table next to mine actually asked if I was okay when they saw me eating alone. I lied and said my girlfriend was running late from work, but would be there soon. They smiled politely and returned to their own celebration, probably whispering about the sad man dining alone at one of the city's most romantic restaurants. I left at 9:45 after the dining room had mostly cleared. Miguel slipped me his card without explanation, and the manager quietly removed the champagne from my bill. Their kindness somehow made the humiliation worse. It confirmed that what had happened to me was as pathetic as it felt. Driving through Manhattan afterward, my mind raced between anger and genuine fear for her safety. Despite the humiliation burning in my chest, I was terrified something terrible had happened. I decided to check her apartment. That decision shattered everything I thought I knew about the woman I loved. Her car sat in its usual spot. Lights glowed warmly in her upstairs windows. But parked directly in front of her building was a massive black pickup truck I had never seen before, with vanity plates reading FlexDeck. I sat in my car for probably 15 minutes, my mind creating increasingly desperate explanations. Maybe it belonged to a neighbor. Maybe someone was helping her with an emergency. Maybe her phone really had died and she needed assistance. But my stomach already knew the truth. My mind refused to accept. I walked around to the back of her building where ground floor windows offered a view into her living room. The space was dimly lit, and scattered across her couch were clothes. I recognized immediately the black dress she had planned to wear to our dinner, shoes I had watched her choose that morning, jewelry I had given her for her last birthday. Then I heard voices from upstairs, laughter. A man's deep voice that I recognized even though I had hoped never to hear it again. Decker Valdez, her ex-boyfriend. The realization did not hit me gradually. It struck like physical violence. While I had sat alone at Le Bernardin for 3 hours, dying inside with worry and embarrassment, she had been upstairs with him. While I practiced my proposal speech one final time before leaving my apartment, she was already planning her betrayal. I do not remember the drive home. I do not remember removing my suit or putting the engagement ring back in its box. I only remember sitting on my couch at 2 a.m, staring at nothing, trying to understand how someone could be so calculatedly cruel. The woman I trusted completely had used our anniversary, as cover for cheating with her ex. She let me wait alone in public while she was with another man. She watched me send worried texts and ignored every single one. I have barely slept since then. I keep replaying every moment of that night, wondering how I missed the signs, how I could have been so naive. How do you recover from learning that your entire relationship was built on lies? What kind of person does this to someone they claim to love? Update 1: The responses to my original post gave me strength I did not know I needed. Thank you to everyone who reached out with support and advice. What has happened since then has been both revealing and devastating. The morning after I posted, Peyton started calling obsessively. When I finally answered on the 3rd day, she launched into an elaborate performance about having a family emergency. Her sister had supposedly been in a car accident. Her phone died at the hospital. She spent the entire night in the emergency room. The story was detailed, emotional, and completely convincing. If I had not seen that truck outside her apartment, if I had not heard Decker's voice through her windows, I might have believed every word. She wanted to meet immediately to explain everything properly and kept apologizing for missing our special night. Her distress seemed genuine. Her remorse appeared authentic. The manipulation was masterful. Instead of confronting her immediately, I told her I needed time to process and asked for space. Something inside me had fundamentally shifted during those 3 hours at Le Bernardin. I was no longer the trusting boyfriend who accepted explanations without question. That afternoon, I made a decision that changed everything. I hired a private investigator named Rex Donovan. Rex has been doing this work for 12 years and immediately understood what I was facing. He explained that emotional affairs often escalate to physical betrayal, and that systematic deception usually follows predictable patterns. He warned me that discovering the full truth might be more painful than I anticipated. Most people, he said, discover they were living in a completely different relationship than they thought. Over the next 10 days, Rex methodically documented Peyton's activities. The process was slower and more complex than I had imagined. Real surveillance requires patience, multiple observation points, and careful evidence gathering to stand up to scrutiny. What he discovered was devastating beyond my worst fears. The affair with Decker had been ongoing for 2 months. Not the impulsive mistake I had been hoping for. They had reconnected when Peyton joined his gym in January, and by February they were meeting regularly at a motel 20 minutes from both their workplaces. Rex showed me time-stamped photographs of them entering and leaving restaurants, hotels, and most damning of all, surveillance footage from our anniversary night showing them arriving at her apartment at 6:30, just 30 minutes before our reservation. But the evidence that destroyed me completely was audio Rex captured using long-range surveillance equipment. During one of their meetings, I heard Peyton's voice clearly. Sterling actually thinks I had a family emergency. He is so trusting it is almost sad. He waited at that restaurant for 3 hours like a lost puppy. Decker's response was worse. You could tell that guy anything, and he would believe it. No wonder you got bored. They laughed together about my faithfulness. They mocked my devotion. They treated my love like a weakness to be exploited. Rex discovered that Decker owned a gym downtown and had been systematically undermining our relationship since Peyton started working out there. He told her I was too soft, that she needed someone more aggressive, that I was holding her back from the life she deserved. Classic manipulation tactics that unfortunately proved effective. The most calculated aspect was their timing. Rex found evidence that they had used at least 6 different relationship occasions as alibis for their hookups. My birthday dinner when she claimed to be sick. The weekend she said she was visiting her parents. Even the night I got promoted and wanted to celebrate. Our entire relationship had become cover for their affair. Rex also investigated Decker's background and discovered he was in the middle of a bitter custody battle with his ex-wife, who had divorced him for serial cheating. The man telling Peyton that I was not masculine enough had lost his own family because he could not stop betraying the people who trusted him. Armed with comprehensive evidence, I faced a choice about how to proceed. Part of me wanted to confront them directly, but Rex advised a different approach. He suggested that systematic betrayal like this required strategic response, letting their actions speak for themselves, rather than giving them opportunities to manipulate the narrative. Yesterday, Peyton called crying about how much she missed me and suggested we have a makeup anniversary dinner to heal from the misunderstanding. She was clearly planning to use this dinner as another alibi for seeing Decker. I agreed to meet her tonight. But instead of going to dinner, I am going to show her everything Rex and I have discovered. The reckoning is coming, and I am done being the fool who trusts blindly. Update 2. What happened when I confronted Peyton was worse than I expected. But what followed has been both devastating and oddly liberating. When she arrived at my apartment that Saturday night, she looked beautiful and acted completely normal. She kept apologizing about the family emergency and talking excitedly about our makeup dinner. Watching her maintain this performance while knowing the truth was surreal. I had prepared what Rex called an evidence presentation, a comprehensive timeline of our relationship, alongside documentation of her affair. Photos, hotel receipts, surveillance footage, audio recordings, everything laid out chronologically. Peyton, I said, opening my laptop. Before we go anywhere, you need to see something. Her reaction told me everything. As I showed her the evidence, her face went through distinct stages: confusion, recognition, panic, then something I had never seen from her before: cold calculation. She did not deny anything. She did not apologize. She did not break down or beg forgiveness. Her first words were, "How long have you been having me followed?" Not "I am sorry." Not "I can explain." Her immediate concern was about her privacy, not my pain. When I explained about seeing Decker's truck that night, she actually became angry at me. She said I had violated her privacy and that what she did in her personal time was none of my business. Then she tried justification. She said her relationship with Decker was complicated and that I would never understand their history. She claimed they had unfinished business and she needed closure. When I played the audio of her mocking my faithfulness, she said I was being dramatic and possessive. The conversation ended with her saying maybe we wanted different things and that my expectations of loyalty were unrealistic in modern relationships. She left that night and I have not spoken to her since. But the story was just beginning. Following Rex's advice about systematic betrayal requiring systematic response, I spent several days preparing a comprehensive evidence package. Then I began sharing it selectively with people who deserved to know the truth. The consequences unfolded gradually over the following month. Her parents were my first call. They were horrified. They had been asking Peyton when we might get engaged, and she had told them I was not ready for commitment. They had no idea she was cheating and felt personally betrayed by her deception. They decided to stop providing the financial support that helped her afford her apartment. Her sister Madison reached out to me directly, apologizing for Peyton's behavior and saying she was ashamed to be related to someone capable of such cruelty. Madison had always liked me and felt deceived about our relationship status. Our mutual friend group was more complex. When I shared the evidence with them, most were shocked and supportive, but a few initially tried to stay neutral. Over time, as more details emerged, and Peyton's manipulation tactics became clear, they all ended up choosing sides. By the end of the month, she had been removed from group chats and excluded from social gatherings. The professional consequences took longer but were ultimately more severe. Peyton's real estate office caters to high-end clients, many of whom value personal integrity and family stability. When her supervisor learned about the systematic deception in her personal life, particularly after a major client specifically asked about her character, it became a professional liability. She had been working with a Catholic family on a $3 million home purchase. When they learned about her affair through mutual connections, they requested a different agent and cited concerns about her trustworthiness. The lost commission was substantial, but more damaging was the reputation impact in her professional network. 3 weeks after the confrontation, she was placed on administrative leave pending a review. Real estate is built on trust and relationships, and word spreads quickly in professional communities. As for Decker, his karma unfolded more slowly, but just as thoroughly. His gym marketed itself as a family-friendly fitness community, and many of his clients were married professionals who viewed him as a role model. When word spread that he was actively helping women cheat on their partners, particularly given his own history with his ex-wife, the backlash was significant. Over 6 weeks, roughly 30% of his membership canceled. The gym industry is highly competitive, and losing that many clients creates a financial death spiral that is difficult to reverse. More damaging was the impact on his custody case. His ex-wife's attorney obtained copies of the surveillance evidence and presented it to the family court judge. A father fighting for visitation rights while simultaneously seducing other men's girlfriends did not make a favorable impression. The judge reduced his scheduled visitation and ordered supervised visits only. Meanwhile, I have been focused on healing and understanding what this experience taught me about relationships, trust, and self-respect. The support from real friends and family has been overwhelming. People keep telling me how fortunate I am to have discovered Peyton's true character before marriage or children. They are absolutely right. This betrayal, painful as it was, saved me from a much worse future. Final update time has provided perspective on everything that happened, and I wanted to share how this story ultimately resolved, because the ending surprised even me. 8 months have passed since that devastating anniversary dinner, and my life has transformed in ways I could never have anticipated when I was sitting alone at Le Bernardin. First, let me update you on the aftermath for Peyton and Decker, because the consequences continued long after my previous post. Peyton was ultimately terminated from her real estate position. The combination of lost clients, damaged professional relationships, and ongoing reputation issues made her unemployable at any reputable agency in Manhattan. The real estate industry operates on referrals and trust. Once word spreads about personal reliability issues, career rehabilitation becomes nearly impossible. Her parents followed through on cutting financial support, which forced her to move from her apartment to a shared living situation in Queens. The woman who mocked my faithfulness and called my love pathetic was suddenly struggling to cover basic expenses. Last I heard through remaining mutual connections, she was working retail while trying to rebuild her career in a different field. Decker's gym did eventually close. The membership losses continued beyond what his business could sustain, and he was forced to declare bankruptcy. His custody situation remained restricted to supervised visitation only. Rex mentioned that he was working as an employee trainer at someone else's facility rather than running his own business. But none of this felt like victory to me anymore. By month 4 of processing everything, I realized that focusing on their downfall was preventing me from moving forward constructively. The real growth came from examining my own patterns, and what this relationship had taught me about boundaries, self-respect, and recognizing authentic love. I started therapy with someone who specializes in betrayal trauma. Through that work, I understood that my tendency to trust completely and ignore red flags was not actually a strength. It was avoidance of difficult conversations that might have revealed incompatibilities earlier. I also realized that the version of love I had with Peyton was based more on potential and hope than on genuine compatibility and shared values. 5 months after the anniversary disaster, I was volunteering at a food drive organized by my company when I met someone who would change my perspective on relationships entirely. Her name is Emberly Rose Chen, and she runs community outreach for several Brooklyn restaurants. We started talking while sorting canned goods, and I was immediately struck by how present she seemed. No games, no performance, just authentic engagement with the work we were doing together. We have been together for 3 months now, and the difference between this relationship and what I had with Peyton is remarkable, where Peyton was calculating and image-focused. Emberly is transparent and values-driven. Where Peyton treated my devotion as weakness, Emberly appreciates loyalty while maintaining her own independence. She knows the complete story of what happened with Peyton. Because I chose to be completely honest from the beginning of our relationship. I wanted no secrets and no assumptions. Her response was perfect. I am grateful that happened to you before we met. It means you learned what you will not accept, and you were available when someone real came along. 2 weeks ago, I made a decision that felt both healing and symbolic. I took Emberly to Le Bernardin. Yes, the same restaurant where I sat alone for 3 hours while Peyton betrayed me. I wanted to return there with someone worthy of that place. Someone who would appreciate both the gesture and the significance of choosing to transform a painful memory into something beautiful. When we arrived, Miguel was working again. He recognized me immediately, and his face lit up when he saw me with Emberly. He remembered the night I was stood up. How could he forget such obvious pain? But seeing me happy seemed to genuinely delight him. He seated us at a different table this time, but the symbolism remained powerful. This restaurant had been the site of one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. But now it represented something entirely different. The courage to trust again after betrayal, the wisdom to choose better partners, and the resilience to create new meanings from old pain. The dinner was perfect because it was authentic. Emberly was fascinated by the story and kept saying how she could not imagine treating someone so cruelly. We talked about relationships, values, and what we both wanted from the future. No games, no hidden agendas. Just two people genuinely getting to know each other. During dessert, something unexpected happened. The same restaurant manager who had been so kind during my humiliation approached our table. She remembered me and wanted to say how happy she was to see me back with someone special. Her genuine warmth turned what could have been an awkward moment into something beautiful. That night confirmed something I had been feeling for weeks. I was ready to trust again, but this time with someone who had earned that trust through consistent actions rather than empty promises. The woman who let me sit alone at our anniversary dinner while she was with someone else was showing me exactly who she was. I just was not ready to see it yet. Sometimes the worst betrayal clears the path for the best relationship of your life. You deserve someone who would never let you wait alone. Edit. Thank you to everyone who has followed this story and offered support throughout these months. The kindness from this community helped me heal faster than I thought possible. Edit 2. For those asking about Rex the Pie, he has become a genuine friend over these months, and actually helped me verify that Decker's gym had closed when I saw the for lease sign. He says helping people discover truth, even painful truth, is what makes his work meaningful. Edit 3. Miguel from Le Bernardin sent Emberly and me a congratulations card after he saw us together. Sometimes the people who witness your lowest moments become unexpected sources of hope. Those connections matter more than you realize.